What up, what up? This is Rey Grand, your host, and you're listening to the Rey Grand Show, where we talk about redefining a disability and overcoming. I've been paralyzed from 22 years from bacterial spinal meningitis. I know a few things. That's right. Thank you for listening, and let's get to it. Hey, say something.
Hello, this is Melanie Latrelle on the Rey Grand Show.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about finding a spouse with a disability. And I have a special guest, my wife, my Melly Boo, Melanie Latrelle Grandoit. And she's going to bring in the perspective of choosing me and how is it for her dealing with someone with a disability, and how does that picture look for her? So essence for me, when finding a spouse, man, that was a process within itself. I think of Job in the Bible when he cut his hair bald, and he said to God, naked coming into this world and naked coming out. And so the process of me walking before, it was very easy for women or girls at the time to speak to connect with, and have girlfriends. It was just second nature. I was a handsome guy. All I did was smile and have the basketball in my hand, and just like that, a girl would say, "Hey, how you doing? What you doing later?" I'm like, "I'm busy." They would call me on the phone. "Please speak to Ray." I'm like, "Who's this?" And then I said, "I'm busy. I'm watching cartoons. I'm watching The Cosby Show. I'm watching The Simpsons. Leave me alone." Girls didn't really interest me like that. But eventually they did. And I didn't really understand at the time what is the purpose of getting married? Why do we get married? What type of woman do I want to get married? What type of family do I want to marry into? And as I would get older, I contracted spinal meningitis, which left me in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down, T12. And so you can imagine how I felt and say, man, who is going to love me like this in a wheelchair? I had to have surgeries, and who's going to love me like this? I have to use catheters to use the bathroom, and bowel movements, all these regular things that now I have to live differently and that I took for granted when I was walking. And so the question really was, could I love myself like this? And that was the deep, profound question that I had to ask myself going through this journey. And now that I ask my question like this, and I realize how much I didn't love myself. Not only because I was in a wheelchair, because I didn't even know myself to love myself, even when I was walking. So you can imagine the layers of adversity, of confusion, of discontent, of not knowing who I am. And then now I want to find a girlfriend or a spouse, someone to love me. It doesn't really resonate with anybody, or any woman or any person. You know, I strongly believe to love, so someone to love you, you must love yourself, as the man thinketh in his heart who he is. And so going through that process, the process of me loving myself was the beginning of me finding the truth and finding God and what's the foundation of love. And for me, I found that Jesus was that love. Jesus was the person who taught what love is. And in that search of finding God and finding Jesus and finding His Spirit, was a lot of mistakes. I used to go to the club, getting drunk, hanging out with friends, and just the constant same old thing. Club on Thursday, club on Friday, listening to this rapper that is not feeding me anything but nonsense. Where am I going and who is leading me? Womp, 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 womp. Same story over and over and over again. So I had to dig deep inside and say, okay, Ray, who are you listening to? Who are you following? And what do you want? What do you want? In essence, I wanted to walk. However, I had to look deep and say, what did these rappers plant in me? What did they give me? Because I was listening. How did they influence me? And so I started to look at myself differently. Like, wow, I got this influence from this person, this influence, this, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started to work with God, and He started to rip those things away. Rip that away. Take it away. Take it away, God. I don't want it no more. Take it away. Take it away. And so the more I start to find myself in knowing who I am, the more I began to see the identity in who I am. And me looking at a disability really blessed me because it gave me time. It gave me time to see God. It gave me time to spend time with myself. It gave me time to mourn. It gave me time to see things from a different perspective and also see others people's perspective, not only my own. So many different perspectives because I had the capacity to. Because most people, what happens, they go to work, they have their children, they have their husband, they're super tired, they don't have the time. So disability afforded me time. And that's the blessing that came with the disability. The thing that I didn't like with disability was the pain, the surgeries, the discontent of being uncomfortable in a wheelchair. Like being in a wheelchair, just to give you a picture of it, it feels like I'm trapped in my own body. Like I want to fight out, come out, but I'm not able to because I'm trapped. I'm not able to get out. It's like I'm strapped down into something I can't get out. And so what happens when you feel like you're trapped and you keep fighting, that person gets stronger. So I got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And with that strength came more blessings. The business became blessed, my mind became blessed, and then of course now I was blessed with a beautiful wife. And I'm sure that you guys are hungry to hear my wife's perspective and how she sees a disability and how she chose me. Like I chose her first. Obviously, a man who finds a wife finds favor from the Lord. So I found her and I chose her. However, she still had to say yes, and we're gonna introduce her and see what did that process look like and how she saw it in her perspective. Let's bring her in, Melanie Latrelle Grandoit. Welcome. I have my wife with me, Melanie Latrelle Grandoit, and I am here to invite her to see her perspective on choosing a person with a disability and how is it for her, and how does that look like for her. For me, like I like to say, like I was explaining to you guys before, like when Job came in with all his wounds and his pain, and he came to God, and he still loved God, and like he said like it says in the Bible is to love God in the good times and love God in the bad times. In the bad times that I went in my life, I was blessed to find my Melly Boo, and she said yes. And I guess we should ask her that question now. Why did you say yes?
loaded question.
That's a loaded question. So I think the first question would be is, how did you view me, like, in the wheelchair, and what was your first thought when you saw me?
Well, I remember the very first time I saw you. So we were at a church conference, and I saw, it was like a bunch of people, but I saw you, and I could feel Holy Spirit telling me, impressing on me to go talk to you. And I did it right away. I just made up excuses. And then he would tell me again. I would see you throughout the day. This was an all-day conference. So I would see you all throughout the day. And I think like by the fifth time of him impressing on me, you should go talk to that young man. Okay. I was like, okay.
Talk or pray?
No, just approach.
Okay.
Yeah. He just I just felt in my spirit that I needed to approach you and just say hi.
Okay.
I don't know why, but there were times like I would see you talking to somebody, and that would be my excuse. Oh yeah, he's talking to somebody, so I don't need to go talk to him. So when I finally saw you in the sanctuary, and I approached you, I mean, I knew immediately. I mean, I believe in supernatural healing. Yeah. I've seen all kinds of people healed from different infirmities, sickness, and whenever I see someone in a wheelchair, like automatically, I'm like, oh, God can heal that person quick, instantly. So when I saw you, I was like, yeah, he can walk. God's gonna heal him. He can walk, and I just thought that immediately. So I approached you and I said hi, and then I think I introduced myself. I said, hi, my name is Melanie. Do you remember?
I remember.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I immediately asked you, did you need prayer for anything?
Yeah.
I think that I did. So I think immediately I said, do you need prayer for anything? And what did you say, love?
I said, nah, I'm good.
He was like, nah, I'm good. I got God.
Yeah, the funny part of that thing was that sermon was called Dream Big by Dr. Maiden. And I said to God, you know what? I want a wife and I want to walk. Literally 5 minutes later, guess who approaches me?
So when he told me that, I'm the type of person, I just feel like I always need prayer for something. So when he told me, he was like, nah, I don't need prayer, it just came across to me like he was just like, oh, he's got it all. He doesn't need anything in life. And I was kind of taken aback. I'm like, and I think I said this to you verbally. Yeah. I said, you don't need anything. I'm like, you don't want to walk? And then, do you remember what you said?
I said, well, I paused for about 5 seconds. I said, well, okay. I do want to walk and I want a wife.
Okay. Yeah.
And then,
yeah. And so then I remember praying, putting my hand on your back, and I said, do you mind if I pray for you? I put my hand on your back, and I just started praying.
Yeah, I just felt fire and like tingling, moving.
Okay, yeah. So you felt the Holy Spirit moving through your back, and I remember praying over you. And then when you told me that you wanted a wife, I just got like this vision of you walking down the aisle on your wedding day, and I just like blurted that out. I said, you're going to walk down the aisle on your wedding day. Yes. And I just blurted that out.
Yeah, and I remember getting a download. It's like, no, you're going to walk to the aisle to me. And I was like, what? And I was like, and obviously I didn't say nothing to you.
Yeah, you didn't say anything to me. I think you like brushed it off. And then from that day forward, we were just cordial to each other. We'd speak, we'd say hi. And I think just over the months, we eventually just became friends, exchanged numbers, became friends. And then we would call each other just to talk. At one point, though, I felt like you were on a mission to help me.
Yeah.
And I kind of told you that. I'm like, I kind of felt like you, like I don't know if I saw it in my vision, but I saw this yellow notepad with a list of people and you checking off each person that you were helping. And I felt like I was on your checklist. And I was like, I didn't like the feeling of being on a checklist. I just wanted, I was like, if we're going to be friends. I don't want you to feel like you're going to help me, check me off, and then move on to the next person. And I think that I might have said something to you about that. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Why is that interesting?
No, it's interesting because we didn't even touch to the fact yet about me being disabled. It was just like me, the one having a disability, and me helping you.
Yeah. You had a heart to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that. I saw your heart to help people. So over time, we became friends, and this was in 2015, 2016. We became friends, and then I think I just got comfortable enough with you to, hey, you want to come swimming?
Oh yeah, you invited me to your house.
Yeah, and which is huge because at that time I didn't invite guys to my house just randomly like that, especially with the children. So I was like, yeah, we should go swimming because you told me you had just learned to swim, and I'm like, yeah, we should go swimming. You came over, we swam, we had some quesadillas. So it was like a friendship. We had started a friendship. I think this was like in 2016. And then I remember we went to the park together, and and we just hung out. We were friends. I don't think either one of us was looking at the other romantically.
No,
It was just, we had both been in a state of kind of seclusion. We kind of secluded ourselves from people, and we were just kind of in isolation. And I remember there was a sermon on getting out of isolation, and we both could relate. It's like, Ray was like, yeah, I was in isolation. I'm like, yeah, me too. So we came together as friends to just connect and have fellowship. And I think I've wandered from your question. What would you?
Yeah, so let's get to the juicy part. So when did you realize, like, wow, Ray likes me, and wow, he's in a wheelchair, and would I even date or court somebody in a wheelchair? How did that process go through your mind?
I mean, I don't think I saw that. I mean, I just saw us hanging out. I mean, we went to worship concerts together. And then I think we went to the Bethel worship concert, and the woman came over and was praying for your legs. And then she prophesied over you. She's like, you're going to walk. And then she said to me, your wife, you're going to see him walk. You're going to be there to witness it. But she called me your wife. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not his wife. I'm just his friend. Yeah. And so that was like the first download per se, I guess, maybe, that God was showing me that there was more to us than just friendship. But we connected spirit first.
Correct.
So even throughout our whole friendship, I just saw you as a person. I mean, I don't know how to really answer that.
No, that's good. I
mean, we were so close spiritually. Like, I remember vividly, it was, I think, end of April of 2017, my grandma had passed, and I took the day off, and we were on the phone, and something just happened in the spirit. I think you got baptized in the Holy Spirit the day before, and we just connected, and I was like, and I remember talking to you over the phone because you had helped me so much. You had, whatever it is that God told you to help me do, you accomplished it, because I could feel a change in myself. I was feeling myself growing, and I was like, thank you, Ray. And I remember crying over the phone. I was like, you've helped me so much. I mean, we were just friends. And I think that day I was like, I love you, Ray. And I genuinely loved you because of the friendship that we had. Yeah. So before we ever courted or engaged or anything, I told you that I loved you as a friend.
Yeah, that was very special.
Yeah. So even when you told me that you liked me, I was like, well, no, I don't think that you like me because you don't know me. You just like the Jesus in me. And I was like, nah, I said, I'm not really doing this whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing. I said, I'm preparing for eternity. Mm-hmm. And I remember that conversation.
Yeah, and I agreed. I was like, I wasn't in a space where boyfriend-girlfriend thing either.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the same path. However, let's say, so let's fast forward and say we're in courting. Mm-hmm. And I know there had to have been moments where you're like, he's in a wheelchair, because getting my wheelchair out the car. I don't remember having any medical issues for quite some time. However, but there had to have been something to be like, wow, this man is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, there are moments. I mean, in courtship, I think I didn't really feel it until we got married, though.
Okay, so say marriage.
I think that's when it opened up, like, oh, he's in a wheelchair.
Okay, so
I don't know why. Because I think I kept going off of that, what I saw in my voice, that you were going to walk down the aisle on the wedding day.
True.
Oh yeah, he's going to walk, this, that. So I just thought, like, I mean, I had not ever had a connection with anybody like that in my life. Like, the way we connect spiritually, I was just like, just so drawn to you and your fire, being on fire for God.
Okay.
Like, you were super, like, I had never met anyone 1,000% on fire for God. And that's what attracted me to you. And that's what, like, that day you asked me to court and start courting, I was like, I was in with you because I'm like, yeah, I mean, we're spirits, we're one, like our spiritual connection. He's on fire for God, so. And I was in a place where I wasn't even looking at men like that. Walking, wheelchair, it doesn't matter. Like, I was so far from that. I was actually in a place where I was enjoying my single life, and I was about to start traveling and enjoying single life. So I wasn't even thinking about marriage. But when God showed me you, I was open because I'm like, wow, we were like twin souls.
Yeah.
And that's so special to me. That's such a special connection. That's so rare. I just accept all of you because of that rare twin spirits that we have.
No, that's good. That's real special. However, I want to get to the juicy stuff.
What's
still.
the juicy stuff?
So say like laying down, right? Like, so me laying down, I have to lay down a lot.
Yeah.
And then your expectations when you got married, I'm laying down.
Okay.
Because in the past I had pressure sores, as the listeners know, and I had a lot of medical issues. However, I'm completely healthy now for about 6 years or so. However, I still have to take precautions and lay down, and I'm not able to. Well, I'm not able. I said I would love to help you more around the house and different things. However, as far as the leadership abilities and strengths, I do a lot. However, but there's still
I will say that
there's still some things that you feel where it's like, man, he's laying down, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Even though you can have compassion, however, I know in your mind you didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm gonna marry a man in a wheelchair. He's gonna be laying down most of the time.
No, I didn't imagine that.
Yeah.
I will say there was definitely a shift from courtship to marriage because in courtship I saw you really active. I will say that. I would see you go grocery shopping. I would see you drive 40 minutes to come visit me and the children and drive back and forth. I saw you super active. You were going traveling. You were going here. You were going there. And it's almost like in marriage, that just slowed down. Yeah. And so I wasn't used to seeing you lay down all day. Like, I wasn't used to that. And I was like, and then even when we would drive to church, I would be the one driving mostly. And I'm like, he used to drive so much in courtship, and now he's not driving, and he's laying down, and he would do the dishes a lot, and, he did dishes in marriage too. But I started to notice a lot of things where you were just like, go, 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 in courtship as a bachelor. That stuff, like, slowed down and almost stopped in marriage. So I'm like, it was like, what's going on?
Yeah, because the perception of it was that it may look like I'm going for most people, even when I'm traveling.
Yeah.
But most people don't realize that I lay down a lot of the times. And then it looks like, oh, he's constantly going. Yes, I'm going, but as soon as I come over the house, I would be laying down. You probably didn't put that two and two together.
But I saw you on the sofa.
That's laying down.
Yeah, but even when we got married, I don't think like the first few months you hardly ever sat on the sofa. So I was used to like seeing you in the family room, being on the sofa.
Oh, when we got married, I went to the bed.
Yeah, you were laying in the bed. So
it's more comfortable in the bed. I graduated from the sofa for the bed. This is the juicy stuff. Welcome to the Rey Grandoit Show. We got it.
But it's this perspective thing. Perspective was you were in the family room. We all watch movies, do this, do that. And then now it was almost like Rey's in the room all the time. And the children and I are out here. It felt like a separation. Even though you were now living under the same roof as us, it still felt like a separation in the same house because you weren't in the family room as much anymore.
So how did that make you feel?
Oh, how did that make me feel? I mean, confused. Like I just was like, did he trick me or something? Because he was. Did he do all this to put up a show and now the real thing is coming out? Like, I didn't know. Because, I mean, you drove a lot in courtship. And you did a lot. And even when grocery shopping, when it was time to go grocery shopping in marriage, you would look at me like, babe, I don't want to go grocery shopping. When you were a bachelor, I would see you go to the grocery store, farmer's market a lot. So now you're like not wanting to. So I'm like, wow. I felt like... And I remember one time when we were coming back from getting groceries, me, you, and the children, and the trunk was like full of groceries. Everybody gets out the car. You get out. The children get out. And I'm just like by myself lugging all these groceries into the house, and
You
I'm
felt
like,
like you were by
I
yourself,
felt
like
like
you
I
were a
was
single mom
alone.
again.
Yeah, I did. I felt like I'm alone. I'm doing this by myself. I have to be super mom. I have to take everything on. No one's helping me. No one cares to help. I just felt like I had to take on the load of the whole household.
Yeah, so here's the deal. So a lot of people with disabilities feel that they want to find a spouse, and when they do find a spouse, they feel like a burden because what it perceives to be like they're able to do things, they're independent, which they are, but however, there still is some, at least for me, I can't speak for every person with a disability. Every disability is different. However, there is some level of skewness where people can be perceive things differently than what they actually are.
Okay.
Because in my mind, whether I'm right or wrong, I believe I made those things, did my best to make those things aware to you.
You probably spoke them to me,
Yeah.
but I think it doesn't become a reality till I see it.
Did you see it?
You probably spoke it plenty of times, but what you spoke and what I saw were two different things.
Yes. And so what advice would you give to someone, a woman, or even a man, that marries somebody with a disability and things like that happen because you felt like you were alone, and so in that moment you may feel like, what in the world is going on here? Like, this is crazy. I have another person that I may be taking care of for so much.
And getting married, I saw it as, now I have a spouse, we can do these things together and do the household stuff together and raise children together. But then in that situation, in that moment, with the groceries and other areas too, I was like, wow, it's actually me carrying the load and taking care of Ray and the children. Mm-hmm. That's how I was like, wow, I didn't see this or expect this.
Yeah, so is there any advice, or would you just say, don't get married?
Advice to someone who may be courting someone.
So what would you say? Because you can take a step back and from a parallax point of view and say, wow, would I have got married still if I knew this?
Yeah.
I
answer. I would say yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean.
No, we've been married over a year.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah.
So, what would you think if you would still say yes? What advice would you give somebody else?
So I would definitely say the couple needs to have conversations, and the person with the disability should definitely communicate clearly, like what their life looks like, what they have to go through, what medications, what supplies, even medical expenses. I think those are just conversations that they need to have, of really like what the person goes through on a day-to-day, and so that the other person knows what your life truly looks like, because a lot of times, when people are courting, they just tend to just do more fun things together. Let's go here, let's go there, let's do this. And you tend to just see the fun things.
Yeah.
But when each person goes back to their own house, they may not see what they're dealing with in their own house. So I would definitely say that's a conversation that couples need to have. And then really the person, whether it's a man or the woman, needs to ask themselves and say, is this something that I have the capacity to take on right now? Is this something do I have the capacity to take on right now? And is this something that I'm willing, do I accept the person as a whole? Do I accept this whole person and the chair and what comes with the chair? Because there are things that come along with the chair, the pain and other things. So the person really needs to assess and say, is this something that I'm able to do and have the capacity to do? And maybe in that season, if they say, well, right now I may not have the capacity to do it right now, but maybe as they grow from season to season, maybe that's something that they may find later that they may be able to take on. I don't know, but that's definitely a conversation. I definitely wouldn't say do not rush into marriage until those conversations are had. I definitely wouldn't rush into it just because I'm I'm so in love, da 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 da, because you really want to see what the person's life looks like.
Yeah.
So have those conversations, and then be a part of that person's life. You know, I don't know what that would look like, but just
Connect. Connect, and what's the word? Go deep. Just go deep and ask those uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
So what would you say on the flip side of things, that you would see that the things that I would need more, like to walk and to be up more and to do more in marriage, what would you say on the flip side of the positive that I bring to the table and bring to the marriage and to the family?
Your leadership. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying what's the positive things you bring? Yeah. Absolutely. Your leadership, you're very, with God, by the Bible. And when you're talking to the children, definitely, speaking in love, but disciplining and letting them know, look, these are the standards and this is how it's going to be, and we're going to be respectful. And just your example, you practice what you preach. Okay. So if you tell someone else to do something, you make sure that you are practicing that same thing. So like with the children, if you're telling them to be respectful, you're going to make sure that you're also being respectful. So so you definitely, your leadership. Do
you have an example that you can think of?
An example? Mm-hmm. And what do you mean?
An example of leadership, like a story or something that stood out to you the most?
Well, you definitely like to tell stories. So you will tell the children of different things of your past and lessons that you've learned. You'll tell them, different things you growing up where you may have made a mistake, and you'll tell them the consequences of that mistake. So you're very transparent to show them, like, look, Rey is not perfect and has not been perfect. And these are some mistakes that I've made, and then this is what I've learned along the way, and you'll put a lesson in that. Kaylin calls you the lesson man.
Lesson man. Lesson man.
She's like, lesson man. I don't need a lesson today, man. So you definitely, your leadership, you worship, you reading the word. Like, I'll notice, like, the more that you get in the Bible, it spiritually, I find myself getting in the Bible, and then I'll turn around and I'll see Kaylin reading the Bible. I'm like, wow, Kaylin's reading the Bible. Or then I'll see Malik reading the Bible. So your leadership by example, like sometimes you may not even have to say anything. It's just your actions, and then spiritually we all just follow because you're leading.
That's good.
Yeah. So, that's huge to me because it brings peace to the household. It brings joy. It brings unity. So that's huge.
So would you say that piece makes up for the visual sight of the lack of, in essence?
Well, I don't see any lack.
And that's what I was saying. It's not really lack, and that's I think what's the important thing. I think sometimes we may see the lack, and really God sees the opportunity. Yeah. And I hope that it encourages someone who's listening and watching, that whatever you think you lack, God has the ability above and beyond what you can think. And like Melanie said, I love to worship. And the song one of the songs I love to sing is Waymaker, Promise Keeper, Light in the Darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it's not working. Even when I don't see it's not working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it's not working. So you see, I love to sing to the Lord. It's something that I do very, very, very often, if not 24/7. And understanding that in that song, even when you don't see it's not working, God is always working on your behalf. He will take something that is meant for evil and turn it into something good. And as you can see, I have something good, not because of me, it's because of God. And so as you can see, I love to worship God, and understanding that He is always, always on your side, and His plans are good, and He's a loving, perfect Father, and He loves all of us. And so sometimes when we see something like Job went through so much, but he consistently he went through his this, I don't know what the proper word would be, his almost wrestling with God to a degree, but he realizes, like, I'm gonna love God whether it's good or bad, and always worship the Lord regardless, and love God regardless. And so God blessed him with a double portion of what he had. And so sometimes we may look at lack and think that we lack something, and our self-esteem, that person's self-esteem gets low, or they view themselves in a sense, I have a disability and I'm unworthy, I'm unloving, I'm just not what God calls me, and that person is not able to see the beauty in themselves. Like I said earlier, I had to do that work and go through that process. And so, Melanie, what would you say about lack? Because I said lack, but I know that I don't see it as lack, because you lack nothing when you're with God. Mm-hmm. He provides, and he lays me down in still waters. He restores my soul. His plans for mercy and his goodness so follow me forever and ever and ever. So, however, someone who may not see that, and they say, well, I'm lack, I need this, I need my legs, this just happened to me, this is not a good thing. In essence, the person may see it's not a good thing, but God sees beauty in that thing. How would you explain lack?
Yeah, so, I mean, none of us are perfect, and we all have flaws. So if we go into a relationship with the expectation that this other person, whether it be a man or a woman, is going to fulfill all of our needs, we can't go into a relationship with that expectation, because only God can fulfill all of our needs. Preach. So if someone is going to a relationship thinking that other person is going to fulfill all of their needs, there's always going to be a lack. Whew. It doesn't matter if they're just have a disability, on their 2 feet. There's always going to be a lack, because they're always going to be looking to that person like, you should be making me happy. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And they're trying to take everything from that person to fill up a void that only God can fill. So that's why I said that there isn't a lack, because God doesn't see anything lacking in you. Amen. So, when we look at people, it's good to do our best to look at it through God's eyes. Yeah. So you're very strong spiritually, like one of the most strongest men I've ever met spiritually. And to me, that was just the most important thing, going into marriage. I needed a man who was stronger than me spiritually, that can pull me closer to God and teach me about Jesus and pull me closer into the Word of God. And you do that. So to me, that's the Word of God, and having a relationship with God is the foundation, and is the most important. It speaks volumes that you're so spiritually strong and have such a strong relationship with God, and your love for God is what drew me in, and that's the foundation of our relationship.
Yeah, and what I wanted I found in a wife, which is you, is loving me unconditionally the way God loves me. Obviously, a person is not capable of loving someone 100,000% like God. Only God can love someone pure in the best way. However, you exhibit the love of Jesus, if that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful for you, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great first year. It's been an honor, pleasure. I love being married to you. So, I mean, yes, of course. You asked me, would I do it all over again, knowing what I know now, and absolutely. Good. Yeah, I would.
So I hope that was helpful for everyone, and stay tuned. Rey Grand Show.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. If you like something that you heard, please leave a review. Oh, one more thing.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Love y'all.